Morning, everyone. How you doing today? I was talking with a friend about real estate investing and comparing deals, and really trying to help him understand the simple math behind how I compare deals. And it wasn't clicking. So I told him what I would do is I'd go back and I'd try to create a video for him and share it with everyone. Kind of call it a quiz, kind of call it can you do the math? Can you figure it out? So I built a real simple kind of quiz, how to, right? Can you calculate the return? But after that, I actually break down my spreadsheet in detail. So you can see exactly how I do it. It's kind of three phases. I broke the spreadsheet down. So you're going to get a sample of the spreadsheet that I use and still use today. It's in my course, so my students get this. But we're going to sort of break it down just because, again, I'm here to help. And I think I don't think math should be the problem, right? I don't want math to scare you or freak you out. I'm not one of those people that try to crush you with this huge spreadsheet. I think people do that I don't know why they do it. I guess they think the more complex, the better it is. And I think there's too many variables sometimes, and that's not the way to go. So we're going to do this. We're going to give you two questions just to see if you can run the basic math. Then we're going to break my spreadsheet down in detail, and then we're going to see if you have any questions. So I will be sharing a PowerPoint just because I found that to be the best for numbers, so you can stop the video when you would like. So I'm going to call this a quiz. Hopefully that doesn't scare you, right? No. I guess there are right or wrong answers. I was just going to say there's no right or wrong answers, but it's math, so there is right and wrong answers. But we'll go from there. No harm, no foul. So let's get started. So can you earn 6% yield or return on this house? This just happens to be a house that I think this one's actually sold, that we've already flipped it. I've done some walkthrough videos on it. Anyways, it's just a stock picture, right? So if you were going to earn 6%, what would you need to know? Right? What do you think you'd need to know? Well, obviously, purchase price would be helpful. Rent would be helpful, right? Because you need income. What are the monthly expenses, right? From mortgage payment to property management to insurance, taxes, reserves, all that stuff. Anything else? Anything else you think you'd need to know? Well, one of the things that you'll see in my calculations is how much cash did you put down. Now, by cash put down, I don't only mean deposit or a down payment, but it's closing costs, and it's also make ready, right? This house here is what I call pride of ownership. So make ready is 0. But what if this house was 200 grand and needed 30K in work? Well, you should include the 30K, right? Because it's how much cash do you need to put down to own and have a functioning or producing asset. So just because you put 50K down and it needs 30K in work, you have to calculate, in my math, $80,000 in that example, right? The down payment plus make ready cost plus closing costs, which for this example we'll just assume are 0, but in reality they often run about $2,000. So let's take a look at what we're doing. So we're going to play a game. I call it the what if game. Let's say this house, again, that one that we just saw, cost you 200 grand. You put $50,000 down, whether that's the down payment, the closing costs, make ready, if any, right? 50K out of, right? You 50K went out of your account. How much estimated yearly cash flow do you need to earn 6%? So maybe stop the video here if you want to kind of try to take your calculator out or your phone out and do the math. But again, you've spent $50,000 out of pocket. So how much cash do you need to earn 6%? Again, stop the video because I'm going to give you the answer now. The answer is $3,000. So you simply take 6% times 50 grand, and that will give you $3,000. And then what you do is you take $3,000 divided by 12, because rentals produce net income every month. So you would need to have net $250 a month in this example. If your only question was, I have to spend 50 grand and I want to make 6%, how do I do that? So that means subtracting all costs, mortgage payment, property management, taxes, insurance, reserves, all those things. You have to net $250 net every month to earn 6% yield in this case. All right, let's try a different one. Let's say in this case, the house costs 150 grand. Your out of pocket is 40. What is your estimated yield if the monthly cash flow is 150? Right? After all expenses, mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, reserves, utilities, whatever it is for you, whatever it is, if you've calculated your net at 150 a month, what is your yield? Again, stop the video if you want to do the math, but here's the answer. So first off, you take the 150 times 12, right? Because you want to get a yearly number. So that's 1,800. Then you take 1,800 divided by 40,000, which was your out of pocket, which gives you a decimal or a reading of 0.045. You turn that into a percentage by multiplying by 100%, and you get 4.5%. So in this case, right, we took the estimated cash flow and calculated our yield. In the earlier example, we're saying, hey, if I'm putting this out there, how much cash flow do I need? So again, these are just all examples that you should be comfortable with. But let me break down the spreadsheet, because this is, and the reality is I use this spreadsheet to compare all my deals. So my spreadsheet's very simple. I use this to compare a one-bedroom house with a 20-unit apartment building. I still use this exact spreadsheet today. I believe lots of people overcomplicate spreadsheets and how to compare deals. It's very easy to do. Excel is very, very powerful, and there is so much vocabulary and stuff in real estate that you can easily add too much. I believe it's a very simple thing, is how much of my cash goes out and how much cash comes back. That's how my simple mind works. What you get to learn when you follow my model and start playing with it in your market is you get to understand which variables have the biggest impact on your return. And sometimes it's pretty surprising. You will see sometimes that cheap properties have a downside because they consume too much cash and they thus drive down your yield. So here's the spreadsheet. I broke it into 3 parts because frankly, the font was too small if I had it all on one sheet. My first portion is how much cash is required. So just breaking it down left to right, I usually put a street name just so I can identify it. I talk about the property type, again, not required, but I put it in there. What's the price? Usually I start with what's the asking price, and then I play with my numbers and I come back to what I can offer. But let's just say a price. Down payment, I've assumed 30% in this example. Repair cost, I'm assuming it's turnkey or ready to go. I've assumed closing cost of $2,000, and then that's just accumulation of total cash. In this case, $39,500 for this one-bedroom house costing $125,000. Again, when you're a student of mine, you play with this, you get the spreadsheet, it all becomes second nature because you'll be walked through it video after video. But here's the next portion of the spreadsheet. It's expenses, right? Because again, we are trying to get to a net number. So you're going to have a mortgage payment. You're going to have taxes and insurance. You're going to have property management. It could be 0 if you self-manage. You're going to have expenses and reserves. And you're add what makes sense, right? I never owned anything that has snow, but if you have snow removal or yard or whatever, add those things. And you want to make these, you want to have reserves. You want to budget for things because this is, again, going to be a model that you run to get monthly expenses. And then the final one is sort of where it all comes to bear, right? We go after and get the monthly rent. We calculate the monthly cash flow, which is rent minus all those expenses from the previous slide. I do turn that into a yearly cash flow number because that's how I compare things. So I take monthly cash flow times 12. And then there's the yield, right? It's yearly cash flow divided by out-of-pocket cash, which you saw in here. In this case, total cash was $39,500. So that's how this yield happens. So in the end, students learn how to leverage this simple deal spreadsheet, and again, it's the one I use for all my deals. Uh, they get to model the spreadsheet to their market because, again, I've been very clear. I only know one market of any depth, but they'll get to put in their rents, their interest rates, their property management fees, all of their expenses. The spreadsheet does become theirs because it's now modeled for their business and their markets. The whole goal of the course in section 2 of it is to understand how yield is impacted by adjusting other variables, right? Right. Does mortgage payment truly have, right, mortgage interest, like going from 4 to 3.9, does that have a huge impact on your yield compared to $10,000 less of make ready? No, the $10,000 will have a bigger impact on yield because that's real cash, right? A savings of whatever it was, 0.3% on mortgage rate will bring your mortgage payment down, increase cash flow, but it's, I don't know, what would that be? Maybe $20, $30 a month. So it doesn't really impact it as much. So a lot of times people get aha moments when they go in and understand what really impacts yield. And again, I can't say this enough. I use this yield calculations to go after 1-bedroom houses, right? Small 600 square feet, all the way up to 20-unit apartment buildings. Because again, I'm only interested in how hard my cash is working. Cash out of pocket to have performing property, right? So if you buy a cheap property that needs 30 grand, you must calculate and leverage that 30 grand as well, because again, that's cash going out. And as I document in our book, that was a big mistake I made in the beginning because I wasn't appreciating the cash. I started just by understanding the down payment, but cash, including make ready cost, is an important factor that I certainly missed my first year of investing. Expected yearly cash flow is the thing, right? It's the return. It's how hard is your cash working? And that, in my opinion, that's the only thing that matters. Sometimes a small house is best. Sometimes it's a fourplex, and sometimes it's an apartment. I could tell you today in my market, it's not apartments and really not fourplexes. Houses are the best investment today. But again, that could change going forward. So again, the model that I've used starting 15 years ago in the up market, I've used it in a down market, and I've used it today as well. I believe that yield, what I use to compare deals, is the great equalizer, because yield will tell me and tell my students how hard their cash is working. So that's how I compare deals. It's simple. I know maybe you were hoping it was more complicated than that. It's not. I am curious, how do you compare deals, right? When you're looking at 5 different things that you could buy, what do you use? Is it price per square foot? Is it gross rent multiplier? Is it cap rate, right? What do you use? I'm always curious to see what people use. Again, hopefully that made sense. Again, I do really believe that the math should not be the hardest part of real estate investing. I try to keep it simple. I use this every day. So hopefully that made sense. I'd love to hear from you. What do you use? If you have questions about this, let me know. And again, if you get the course, use the coupon code BOOK20, BOOK20, so you get $20 off and an autographed book. Again, the math shouldn't be the problem. You need to learn your market. You need to consistently look at it, and then the math just becomes second nature. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Take care. Have fun.